you announced in April, seems like a lot has happened since then, but that was just back in April that you put up this message to the community. There was an urgent need for people in the CKUA listenership, people who are already supporters, people who haven't supported yet. Everybody needed to step up because we got to get to this. We need to climb this mountain, raising $3 million in a capital campaign.
Yeah.
Wow. How have things been going since then?
It's been a blur, but in the best kind of way. So obviously we have a lot of momentum coming out of that campaign. We raised $1.8 million and we're pushing close to 2 now. And so we're well on our way towards that $3 million march. And we have a lot of plans kind of in the background and working on some different things.
Wow. Yeah. $3 million march.
Yeah. Making
that mark with Marc. And
correct.
So there's been many different stages to this. Of course, the on-air campaign, which was just an incredible, breathless, sensational week and a half on the air. A lot's been going on since that concluded at the end of April. I know a major part of your message was, and we're seeing this in the live music scene as well, where venues are being squeezed by the current real estate pickle.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the CKUA Edmonton facility needs some more tenants. How are we looking on that?
Actually, it's come along quite a way. So we went from about 50% full when we came out in April, and we're at about 80% now, and we're still in some discussions about some more folks. So that's a good momentum in the building. And obviously the challenge with that is that if you're in the real estate game, you know that people will sign on a lease right away, but it takes several months for the money to come online. And we got to spend money to modify the spaces and all that stuff. So we're going through that process right now, but we do have a couple of new tenants that have come in, and so that'll help. Obviously, the challenge with real estate these days is that we're not getting the rates we were 4 years ago before the pandemic. So it's still a financial challenge. It doesn't solve our problems in the building, but it definitely takes a good chunk out of the challenge. So we're hopeful. We're still having some conversations with potential tenants, and so I'm hopeful we'll get pretty full pretty soon. Wow. Which would be great. And then, we need the interest rate to come down and things like that. But, we're in the right direction for sure.
That is great news, because one of the things CKUA can do is, in this facility, we can provide a home to lots of other similarly minded organizations, and it's just one of those community things that's a great story. So we've gone from 100% occupancy not that long ago to 50%. Now we're on our way back to 100. That's great news. And of course, people are continuing to donate. We need to get to that $3 million mark by September
30th.
But we're doing great.
Time's ticking.
Right. And on the larger picture, there is a call that you put out recently as well for people to involve themselves in a way that doesn't necessarily mean reaching into their pocketbook. How is the community advocacy letter writing campaign going?
It's gone really well. So we've had about 1,000 people participate, which is a lot. And so, I was talking with Minister Boissonnault, who's the representative for the riding where CKUA is located recently, and he's like, what it does is it helps him to get the Edmonton and the Alberta message to Ottawa. Sometimes I think we realize that the Alberta story doesn't make its way to Ottawa the way we want it to, and so having our listeners and our supporters help get that message there for us has been really helpful. So we continue the conversations, and we continue having conversations with the province as well. I mean, we move at the speed of government, so it's not going to happen overnight.
It's not supersonic speed.
No, but the conversations continue, and I've heard from some people who have written letters. They've received back letters from Minister Boissonnault and the Prime Minister, and just sort of saying we understand the importance of CKUA, and so that's the positive piece. Now we have to change that message into action, and that's what we're asking the government to do now, is to act. And so and I think we're at an interesting place where we have the provincial government saying, well, the feds caused part of this problem, so they should be doing something, and the feds are saying, well, the province has lots of money, they should be doing something, and they're kind of in a bit of a standoff, and we're getting caught in the crossfires. And so what we're trying to do is sort of make the case that if one moves, the other one will move, and it's just who's going to move first, right? And we've got a way to make that body look really good out there in the world. We've got a great megaphone to the world, and so we're just asking for the help that we need to get through this time. With a little bit of investment, we can solve some of the building challenges, solve some of this inflationary pressure, and we can get back to business as usual, which is what we want to do more than anything else.
For sure. And I mean, thinking long term, this is just leaning into, 3 years from now, if we make it there, we'll be celebrating our centennial, which is if we get there, that's like an unparalleled feat in Canadian broadcasting and Canadian culture, really.
Yeah.
It's very exciting, and this is just the beginning of that momentum. So sowing the seeds, just real quickly, I know how many people have participated in that campaign so
About
far?
1,000 people have been participated in the campaign so far, and then we had thousands participate in the fundraiser,
many
and
thousands.
several hundred became monthly donors, and that's the secret to success long term
Yeah.
for us. And so I think the message is we had a great outpouring of support in the fundraiser, and that can't be a one-off, right? That's got to be sustained and continued. We need more listeners to donate. We need more people to become monthly donors. They can do that any time of the year. They don't have to wait till 10 days every 6 months when we ask. But the other piece around it too is, in behind all of this, we've always planned about doing a centennial fundraising campaign, like a big one, to go and raise an endowment, which creates some sustainability for the organization going forward. Since we don't get government funding, we don't have that reliable source of funding.
Right.
We sort of wait every 6 months and see how well we do. So we've always had plans to go out and put a big fundraising campaign together to upgrade our transmitter systems and our technology and build an endowment and do all of these things that are important for the organization, leveraging the fact that we're coming into a national first centennial for a public broadcaster. Now, obviously, the deck got shuffled a little bit during the pandemic, and we're sort of like coming out and saying, hey, we need help right away.
Right.
But that plan was already there, and so we're actually starting to put those pieces in place right now. And so we've got some great volunteers from the community who have come forward and said we're going to help them raise some money, and that's going to give us we've come out of the momentum of the spring fundraiser. The next piece of momentum will be September 30th when we make that goal.
Yes.
Then it'll be the fall fundraiser when we build off that momentum, and we're just going to keep building momentum. And that's the story we can tell, is that people want this thing. In record numbers, people want this thing right now, and so we just need people to get behind that. And it does require money. That's just the unfortunate reality. Your home expenses get higher every year. I don't know of a business whose expenses get lower every year. We have the same challenges, and so we need that continued support. And we're going to keep pulling on every lever we have, whether that's the business community, whether that's government, or whether that's the listeners and the broader community at large. But we need all people at the table in some capacity. And frankly, we have some potential donors sitting there saying, I'll make a donation, but I need to see the province at the table, because they have been silent on this for way too long.
Right.
And if we can get there, I think that's what accelerates momentum even more.
Absolutely. Critical mass, right? It's like, write those letters to those big decision makers. Let's get the funding going. Do what you can, how you can, when you can.
Yeah.
That's what's required. And the donors, incredible outpouring of support. And we're certainly seeing a huge amount of uptake all across the board, whether it's the fundraiser, the capital campaign, the occupancy of the Edmonton building, the letter writing advocacy campaign. It's all amazing stuff, and it's all pushing in one direction. Marc Carnes, CEO of CKUA, through all kinds of interesting times. Just finally, how are you feeling these days, and what's your message to the good people of CKUA?
Personally, I'm very excited that I'm getting on a plane for a vacation tonight. But beyond that, I think one message that I want to get clear, because I think it was kind of lost in all the hubbub of everything that was going on, is that I think some people are concerned that we want to become government funded. We do not want to become government funded. We enjoy our independence. We value our independence. I don't want to be stuck with the bureaucracy of being federally funded or anything like that. We're just asking for a one-time injection so that we can sort of slingshot ourselves out of this perfect storm that we're in right now.
Right.
And so, that's what I'm asking people to get behind. And I think I'm feeling quite buoyed by the momentum we have and the conversations we've had. I've had some really lovely conversations with people in the last few weeks. And I think people are hopeful. We've got to get through this just like a lot of other organizations have to get through this right now. It's a challenging time in the cultural space, and we're not immune to that. And so, the ask is that people continue to support, step up in whatever way they can, and we'll get there. That's the beauty of the CKOA community, is we find a way through.